We have to compare each and every transaction with the respective documentary evidence, which is called as OCHAS. Auditor does not do the valuation of asset because he is not having sufficient technical knowledge. So whatever the procedures as well as the principle which is followed by the official while valuing the assets, so here the duty of an auditor to see through that these are one type of asset where they are not physically visible, at the same time they cannot be converted into cash. Hello everyone, I am Akshita, lecturer, Department of Commerce, Vidyashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysore. Today we are in the second session of Unit 5, that is verification and valuation. So my dear students, I have already told you in each and every organization there will be certain assets as well as certain liabilities. So it is a duty of an auditor to see through that whether that assets and liabilities are actually there in the organization or not. So that is known as what? Verification or valuation of assets and liabilities. So we have already learnt in a previous session, verification means to find the truth about that asset and liability, whether it is actually there or not. Next, valuation in the sense to find the actual money value of assets and liability is called as valuation of assets and liabilities. Let us quickly recall what we have discussed in a previous session. So in a previous session, we have covered this topic, that is verification of assets and liabilities. So what do you mean by verification? I have already told you it's nothing but finding the truth. So verification means finding the truth of the asset and liability is called as verification of assets and liability. Next, objects of verification of assets and liability. So what are the objects? So that also we have discussed in a previous session. Next, difference between ouching and verification. So we have already know what do you mean by ouching? So with a proper documentary evidence, we are going to compare it with the entries which are recorded in the books of accounts. That is, we have to compare each and every transaction with the respective documentary evidence, which is called as OCHAS. So that process is called as ouching. Then what is verification? So verification means, as I have already told you, to find out the truth of assets as well as liability, whether that assets and liability are physically there in the organization or not. Next, valuation of assets. So valuation of assets is nothing but what? Finding the actual money value of assets. That is known as what? Valuation of assets. So we have already learnt about it. Next, objects of valuation of assets. So what are the main objective of valuing this asset? So these are the few topics which we have discussed in a previous session. Let us continue with a new topic in today's session. So in today's session, we shall discuss about auditor's duty in regards to valuation of assets. Now, what are the duties that has to be followed by an auditor, or what are the duty that the auditor has in valuing the assets of an organization? So valuation of asset is a difficult task. So let us see why it is a difficult task. So why it is a difficult task? Because it requires technical knowledge. So valuation of assets in an organization is a difficult task because it requires a technical knowledge by an auditor. But an auditor has neither technical knowledge nor the time required for the valuation of asset. So it's a difficult task because one thing is that it requires technical knowledge. At the same time, here an auditor does not have a technical knowledge. At the same time, he will not be having a sufficient time in order to value each and every assets of the organization. In the sense, the time required by an auditor to value the assets is not sufficient. So an auditor can't be expected to do the valuation of asset. So here the auditor, so for this disadvantage, the auditor cannot go for valuing the asset. In short, an auditor is not a valuer. So here we can tell that an auditor, because of the time shortage as well the technical knowledge what is required by an auditor is not there with an auditor. So what we can tell it as here, auditor is not the valuer of the asset because he is not going to value the asset. The valuation is done by the officials of the business. Now who will do the valuation of the asset. Of course, I have told you auditor does not do the valuation of asset because he is not having sufficient technical knowledge. At the same time, he does not have a time to value each and every asset. So this valuation is done by whom? By the officials of the organization. Auditor has only to make an enquiry into the valuation of asset and satisfy himself that the value of the assets are properly determined. Now here the official of the business will value the asset. Now what is the duty of an auditor? To see through that whether the official has done or whether the official has valued the assets properly or not. So that is the duty of an auditor here. Next, this view was upheld in many cases. For example, the Kingston Cotton Mills Company case, it was held it is no part of an auditor's duty to take the stock. So it was proved in a particular case. Which was that case? That is Kingston's Cotton Mill Company case. So it has been proved that auditor is not having a sufficient knowledge, at the same time is not having sufficient time. So auditor is not treated as a valuer. So he cannot value the assets and liability of an organization. For that reason, a separate official has been appointed in order to value the asset. So he must rely on other people for the details of the stock. So he has to depend on other people, that is the official. An auditor has to be critically examine the valuation and satisfy himself that the valuation of the asset has been properly made, to satisfy himself that the value of the assets are correct. So he has to see through that whether the valuation of asset is actually done and whether the valuation is correct, and auditor should do the following. After satisfying himself that the official has done or official has valued the asset properly, then he has to follow the following steps. So after satisfying himself that the official has valued the asset and liability properly, then let us see what is the duty of an auditor. So he should obtain all information available in respect of valuation of asset. So as I told you, the valuation of asset is done by an official, not by the auditor. Now the duty of an auditor is to collect the information from the official about the valuation of asset. He should obtain all the information available about the valuation of asset. And the second step is he should critically examine and analyze the all figures of valuation of asset. So later he should examine, so whatever the information which is given by the official, so here the auditor has to examine as well as he has to analyze the information what is given by the official. He should verify whether the principles and practice of valuation of assets have been consistent from year to year. So whatever the procedures as well as the principle which is followed by the official while valuing the assets, so here the duty of an auditor to see through that whether that information is correct or not, whether the auditor or whether the official has followed that information or not, whether the official has followed the principles and procedures of valuing the assets or not. So this is the duty of an auditor to see through that whether the official is following all the principles and procedures of valuing the asset. And the next one is he should verify whether the value of asset has been determined properly in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principle. As I've already told you, first he has to see through that whether the official has followed the principles of valuing the asset. Later on he has to verify that whether the official has followed this generally accepted accounting principle in the process of valuation of asset. So wherever necessary, he should take the assistance of technical experts for valuing the assets. Of course, on one time, an official has been appointed who has very technical knowledge. He has valued the asset. So if there is any such clarification, he can take the help of technical experts later, because the auditor is not going to value the asset because of the drawbacks, that is, he is not having a sufficient technical knowledge as well as time to value the asset. Next, he should ascertain whether the current value of the assets are fair and reasonable. So, he has to see through that whatever the ascertained value, by valuing the assets and liability, whether that value is fair as well as acceptable in nature. If the auditor does not exercise proper care and skill in the matter of enquiry into the valuation of asset, he should be held guilty of negligence or fraud. Suppose even though valuation is done by an official, but the auditor has not done proper enquiry. In such cases, auditor will be blamed. So, he will come under the guilty of negligence as well as fraud. So, it is a duty of an auditor. Of course, after doing the valuation, it is a duty of an auditor to verify that. So, that is the duty of an auditor in respect of valuation of assets. Now let us see what are the classification of assets or types of asset for the purpose of valuation or mode of valuation. Let us see how this asset has been divided in the mode of valuation of assets. So the first one is fixed asset. So you all know about fixed asset. So these are the permanent assets which are there in the organization, which are purchased only once, or it is non-recurring in nature. So they are acquired for a permanent use in the business. Of course, these fixed assets, for example, building, land, furniture. So these are the fixed asset and they are called as what? And they are used for the permanent use in the organization. It is not for resale in the ordinary course of business. So it is not purchased like a goods. So it is not purchased and sold. So it is purchased for the use in the organization. So it is not resale in the ordinary course of business, but for the purpose of enabling the business to earn profit. Now, why these fixed assets are being purchased? In order to earn more profit. So, it is not purchased for the resale, but it is purchased in order to earn more profit. So, these assets will be in use for a pretty long period. So, I have told you these assets are purchased for a longer period of time. Examples: land, building, plant and machinery, etc. So these are the best example where you can give an example for fixed asset which are used in the organization. Next, fixed asset are to be valued at original or historical cost less total depreciation written off. So here the value of the asset. So here, in order to know the actual value of the asset, so we have to write the cost price of the asset less depreciation, then we'll get the actual value of the asset. So here the value is taken based on original or historical cost. Now this value should be original cost or historical cost. So based on this, the actual value of the asset will be calculated. So for each and every year, they have to charge the depreciation. So we have to deduct that depreciation every year. Now what do you mean by depreciation? Decrease in the value of asset. So as and when the time passes, the value of fixed asset goes on decreasing. So which is known as depreciation. So we have to deduct the depreciation to know the actual value of the asset in a particular period of time. So this is about fixed asset. Next, current assets, or we call it as circulating or floating asset. So these are the assets which are there for a shorter period of time, and these are not permanent assets of the organization. So current assets are those assets which are acquired for resale or produced for the purpose of sale or converting them into cash. Now, why these assets are purchased? So these assets are purchased in order to resell that asset. Whereas when compared to fixed asset, they are not resaleable in nature. So these fixed assets are purchased in order to use in the organization in order to earn the profit. But when compared to this current assets, so these are purchased in order to resell in the future by converting them into cash. So when they sell that current asset, of course, the organization will get the cash. So examples are stock, semi-finished goods, book debts, cash and bank balance. So these are the current assets. Now coming to the next one, intangible asset. So intangible in the sense, so these are the assets which cannot be touched. It can be only felt in the organization. So they are called as what? Intangible asset. So intangible asset are those assets which cannot be seen or touched. So these types of assets which cannot be seen or touched, examples are goodwill, copyrights, patent, etc. These assets are shown at cost price. So it is also one of the asset which brings value to the organization, but they cannot be seen or touched. So such kind of assets are called as what? Intangible asset. And the next one is wasting asset. So wasting asset of fixed nature which are depleted gradually or exhausted in the process of earning income. So these types of asset is what? By using that asset, the value of the asset goes on depleting or decreasing. So such kind of assets are called as wasting assets. Examples are mining, quarries, oil wells, etc. These assets are valued at original cost less provision for depletion. For example, if you take mines, so as and when we are going to use that mines often and often, in the sense we are taking the benefit of that mines, as and when we are using that mines, so its value goes on decreasing or depleting. So such kind of assets are called as wasting assets. Next, fictitious asset. So these are neither physically visible nor realizable into cash. So this is one kind of assets in an organization where they are not physically visible as well as they are not realizable into cash. They cannot be converted into cash also. So they are revenue expenditure that have been temporarily capitalized with the object of generating the amount over a period of years with the benefit of which accrues. So here, as I told you, these are one type of asset where they are not physically visible, at the same time they cannot be converted into cash. So examples are preliminary expenses, discount on issue of shares, as well as advertisement, suspense account, etc. So these are the best examples for fictitious asset. And the next one is contingent asset. So these are the asset, the existence, value and ownership of which depends upon the accruance of a specific event. On the basis of a specified event, so here there is a existence for this asset as well as value for the asset as well as there is a ownership of the asset based on a specified event. Examples are claim for refund of income tax and sales tax. So this is based on tax where the ownership will be there is a value for that asset as well as there is an existence for the asset, but it is for a specified event. So such kind of asset are called as contingent asset. Now let us see what is the difference between verification and valuation. So in a previous session we have already discussed about verification as well as vouching. Now let us see what is the difference between verification and valuation. Now coming to the first one, that is depending upon the nature. So in verification of asset, an auditor verifies the actual existence of the asset but also their proper valuation. Now here under verification, as I told you, he is physically going to verify the asset. So that is known as what? Verification of asset. But in case of valuation of asset, an auditor has to merely ensure that the value of the asset are shown in the balance sheet is correct. So in order to see what is the actual value which is written in the balance sheet, same value has been written or same value is there for that particular asset in the organization or not. That is, in order to see the money value of the asset, that process is called as valuation. Now let us see the second difference, scope. So verification includes valuation also. Now what is the scope of this verification and valuation? Verification includes valuation also. Valuation is a part of verification of asset. Now valuation is what? Verification includes both verification and valuation, but valuation is a part of verification. Now if you come to the third point, that is work begins. Verification of assets comes in before the valuation of assets. So verification is done first, then valuation is done. So verification comes first before the valuation of asset, but valuation of asset follows the verification of asset. So valuation comes later. So valuation follows verification. And the next one is responsibility. So in a case of verification of asset, the auditor is entirely responsible for the work. So here who is responsible? Auditor is responsible for the work, but in case of valuation of asset, it is done by the owners. So here what is the main difference here? Verification is done by the auditor, whereas valuation is done by the owners of the organization. The auditor merely ensures that the value of the asset as shown in the balance sheet are correct. Now, who is going to value the asset? Owner. But here the duty of an auditor is to see through that whatever the amount which is written in the balance sheet, whether it is actually there in the organization, whether the value of that asset is actually there in the organization or not. And the next one is guarantee. So in case of verification of asset, the auditor gives guarantee that the asset have been properly verified. Now, who is giving the guarantee here? That is auditor. So auditor will guarantee the organization that he has verified properly. He has verified the assets properly. But in case of valuation, he does not give any guarantee. So here under valuation, here the auditor is not going to give the guarantee. But in verification, auditor gives the guarantee that he has verified each and every assets properly. And the next one is basis. So verification of asset can be made by the auditor on the basis of physical inspection as well as documentary evidence. So this we have already discussed. So verification is done by physical existence. So verification is done by physical verification of the asset along with the documentary evidence. But for valuation of asset, it depends upon the estimates of the proprietor. So here valuation is done based on the estimates which is given by the proprietor. And the next one is chance of fraud. So in verification of asset, the chances of manipulation of accounts to inflate or deflate profit is less. So here in case of verification, manipulation in the sense showing the false result to the outsider. So in verification, manipulation of inflated value or deflated value is less. But in case of valuation, the assets, there is more chances of such frauds. So in overall, we can tell that the chance of fraud in verification is less, but in valuation it is more. Next we shall see classification of liabilities for valuation. So we have already seen what are the different types of assets for valuation. Now we shall see what are the different types of liabilities for valuation in an organization. So under that the first one is current liability. So current liabilities are those liabilities which are there for a shorter period of time. So current liability are those liability of the business which are short-term liabilities. So this current liabilities are also called as short-term liability and it is for a shorter period of time. So they are to be settled within a period of 1 year. Now what is the duration here? Settlement of liability will be within 1 year. So they are called as what? Short-term liability. Examples are trade creditors, bills payable, outstanding expenses. So these are the best example for current liability. So what you have to remember here, current liability are those liability which has to be repaid within 1 year. Next is fixed liability or long-term liability. So these are long-term nature. So we call it as long-term liabilities. They are long-term nature. Examples are long-term borrowings, long-term deposit, received, etc. Now, here long-term liability is reversed to short-term liability or current liability. Here the duration or the repayable period is within 1 year. So here it is more than 1 year. So here the repayable period is more than 1 year. So they are called as what? Long-term liabilities. So best examples are long-term borrowings as well as long-term deposit received. And the next one is contingent liability. So it is not a actual liability. So here contingent liability is not an actual liability. It may become a liability on the happening of non-happening of certain events in future. So they will become the liability on non-happening of a certain event. In short, it is a liability which may or may not arise in the future for payment. So here this type of liability is may or may not payable in the future. Examples are in respect of bills discounted, guarantee given, compensation pending. So these are the examples for contingent liability. So these are not actual liability, so they may or may not be payable in the future. So such type of liability are called as contingent liability. So in my next session, I am going to discuss about verification and valuation of different assets. Let us take each and every asset in individual and let us see how we are going to verify and value individual assets. So my dear students, in today's session we have discussed various concepts relating to verification as valuation of assets and liability. We have seen which are the assets that comes under valuation as well as verification and which liabilities comes under verification and valuation. In my next session, I am going to continue with new topic. See you all in my next session. Till then, take care. Thank you.